All right, guys, welcome back to the Transparency. Happy Labor Day weekend to everybody. Cheers. Speaking of which, we should all have a drink for Labor Day. What's today? Monday. What is the actual date today? September 1st. There we go. All right, this title is The Prosecution. This is the law enforcement witness list and what it revealed. A couple things I want to point out is Bill Thompson. He had a plan, just like Hank Brennan would have a plan to prosecute Karen Reed. Hank Brennan, it was their second go round, so he had Adam Lally's lovely performance to kind of, I guess you could say, paint the way for him, or show maybe what worked, what didn't work, what you want to stay away from. This was not going to be that case. You know, Bill Thompson, there was nothing prior. So what got released is 110 law enforcement prosecution members were on their witness list. Again, this was LE. This is just law enforcement. Okay. So what I've been working on is, how would you go about prosecuting this case? How would Bill Thompson go about prosecuting this case to see to it that the victims receive justice and that the right person here goes away? So 110, this is law enforcement prosecution witnesses. Now, the first thing that I did is I went through this 110 list. All right. And I went through and I said, okay, what law enforcement agency is this person with? So right here, Williams Adams. He's with ISP. Okay. Sean's still working on him. But as you can see, we're going through this large list, and it's all in alphabetical order. And then what I focused on is, what is up, Mofo? What is up? So then what I focused on is people that weren't on the list. So for example, we'll use this for example here. Derek Brown, Idaho State Police, Report 44, Report 47. His name, for example, is not on the list. Like, he was not going to call Derek Brown. Okay, he was not going to call Tyler Barrett from the Idaho State Police. You can find his name in Report 42, Report 45, Idaho State Police. Robert Boone was not on the list. Jack Caitlin, not on the list. Right here, you're going to see Caroline Kelvin. Caroline Kelvin, I believe, was going to be witness number 1. If I was prosecuting this case, I would go with Caroline Kelvin, and I'd be introducing right off the rip the 911 call. And that is Caroline Kelvin, dispatch 911. That's what I believe that she got an award as well for her work in 2022. She ended up getting that award down the road. But I believe that something like that was coming right off the rip. Again, this is just my guess. I have not talked to Bill Thompson. But as you can see here, Brittany Clark, not on the list. Idaho State Police. This is Matt. I want to say it's Hennel, weird last name, but not on the list. There's a lot of reports, though, that he was in on. Andy Huddle, not on the list. In my opinion, not surprising. Not surprising. But what is surprising, okay, this isn't surprising me, but let me explain why it's not surprising. Report 50 here, 49 and 50, Idaho State Police, Andy Huddle. I know his name from the Drake case. Here, he would have got this tip that was from Pullman Police that called in the tip 391. And that tip was called in for, in 2021, that burglary, that break-in. So here, Huddle was the one that got and said that he dealt with that phone call tip in. And so that means that Chris Engel called in a phone tip. Meanwhile, he's Pullman Police Department, a detective. That would be tip 391. Again, I saw themselves distancing themselves there with, they don't have Chris Engel on the list. They don't have Whitman or Tenego on the list. You guys know who those two people are, right? They were in the probable cause affidavit. Daniel Tenego, Curtis Whitman, they are not on the list. You know who found Brian's car? Who Hippler said they are definitely part of the reason they identified that man. Okay. Let's see. Hopkins, not on the list. Shocking. A lot of reports feature Hopkins. Mark Hullett, like mullet, Hulet, Idaho State Police. Again, not on the list. These are a lot of people that did a lot with interviewing tip people / people that were, knew the victims in some capacity with like the fraternities, sororities, things like that. Leslie Lehman, that fucking gem, not on the list. Leslie Lehman, not on the list. Neither was Kristen Noah. Kristen Noah, Leslie Lehman. I mean, these are two people that were out canvassing the area and collecting video footage. To not have either one of these broads on the list, you bet your bottom dollar that they would have been on Ann Taylor's list, in my opinion. I mean, I would have had them on my list. Because what it seems like when you're reading these reports is that people seem like they're doing the same things that somebody else just did. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But again, these are all written in alphabetical order. Catherine Mabutt on the list. Let's see. Joe Lake, not on the list. Joe Lake did a lot with victimology. Idaho State Police. Another name right here. Mike Mooney. I think he goes by, it's Jeffrey Michael Mooney. And so I think what ends up, unless there's brothers, so the way that I'm reading this is there could potentially be a Michael Mooney and there could be a Jeff Mooney, just like there is a Aaron Snell and there's a Timothy Snell. Okay. So regardless, there is not a Mooney on the list. And Mooney was the first person that John Lawrence called for Idaho State Police. If my memory serves, John Lawrence was on the scene. And when he called Idaho State Police, he called, and I believe he talked to Mike Mooney. Not on the list. Heather always coming with some sprinkles for me. Heather says, one of the first hearings in this case is when Ann Taylor wanted the training records. The state already said they were not calling any of those law enforcement representatives, for trial. AT said she was calling them. Exactly, because you guys, they were involved in some serious shit. Gary Tolson, not on the list. Gary Tolson followed Mike Van Leuven around like a lost puppy, like he always does. And he was not just with Mike Van Leuven doing whatever the hell they were doing. He was with other people. And so Gary Tolson, not on the list. And Gary Tolson attended the damn autopsy. Okay. And in fact, he was late and missed one of them. All right. Let's look at the next page here. Okay, here. Now you got to pay attention when they can't spell. So this is Ryan O'Neill, and then somebody tried to say that his name was spelled like this, Neal. No, but I just put that in there just when I'm typing up stuff so I can, if somebody makes a typo like that, I know what they're talking about. That's what that means. Kristen Noah, again. Kristen Noah was in the mix from the beginning and did a lot of the neighborhood canvassing. I'm telling you, she would have been on Anne's list because she can probably contradict some of this shit. I know that there's videos missing, and it's going to be, I think what was happening here when I've been reviewing all of this stuff is people were going, okay, hey, this person has a camera. Okay, I talked to them. I gave them a time frame that we were interested in. Well, how did you know what time frame you were looking at? You know, so those have to come out. So I wanted to look at this from a completely different angle, and this is what my next week is going to be all about. Is that, you know, I think what a challenge is if you were to prosecute this case, how would you prosecute it? Who do you need to stay away from? How would you make it more difficult for Ann Taylor? Because you don't want to. Oh, hey, something that Lally did, in my opinion, was he just called everybody to the stand, right? And he kind of just went for the same song and dance with every single person. You know, what was the weather like? You remember all those questions. Well, it's kind of like in this situation, how does Bill Thompson kick this off? I know that Bill Thompson had mentioned that he planned on calling officers to the stand. A couple of them, they would be what they kind of did in Delphi, which is they're going to testify to this portion, and then they're going to be called back to testify to another portion, and continuing on like that. And then obviously Ann Taylor has the option to, if you're going to cross-examine them, they're going to have to stay within inside the scope of direct examination. But I think that Bill Thompson was going to be doing a lot of that, and I'll explain why. I think that Bill Thompson was going to have to do that with Officer Payne, Blaker, Talbot, Gilbertson. Very similar to Delphi, what they did with Jerry Holman, Mullins. Who else did they do it with over there? There was another name. One of the sheriffs. Anyways, you get the point, right? I think what it does, though, is it's very tricky. For the defense attorney has to decide, okay, do you want to cross them each time after they individually testify to like that portion, or are you going to wait till they're done completely, okay, and then cross them on everything that they had talked about from the beginning? Okay. So let's see. Brandon Rowley, not on the list from Idaho State Police. Interesting to me. There it is, the Snell. So the one Snell was on there. Timothy Snell, he's on there, and he was going to testify to the drone footage. No doubt about it in my mind. Aaron Snell was not on there. Idaho State Police, and he did all like the PR stuff. You guys know Aaron, right? All right. I don't know if they're brothers, cousins, but there is blood relation. Now, Jess Stennett, it's Stennett, Idaho State Police. Not on the list. And this specifically right here. And it was Keely's whereabouts on the 9th she was interested in, as well as some other tips. But she, Jeffrey Talbot. Now, the reason I think that he was going to be testifying over the course and being called back and forth is because of the different processing of the scene. So, if he's testifying, okay, they did something on the 13th, they did something on the 14th. Okay, they were back on then, the 18th, the 19th. the 20, all these different times that he's going to the scene and processing for, I want to know how Bill Thompson was going to do that. I want to know how he was going to use Jeffrey Talbot with the crime scene and explaining that, and when he was going to choose to break that up, because there was stuff that they did at this crime scene, you guys, all the way up until that house was wrecked down, right? And so you're telling a story and you're telling your narrative to the jury, right? And I think it would, me as just wanting to learn and seeing how somebody was planning on doing that, this was intriguing to me, dealing with Jeffrey Talbot. Here's a lot of names that weren't on it. Weinstein, not on there. Brady Walker, not on there. Big part of Brady Walker is he was all over the neighborhood canvas in Report 51 for Lauder. That's Ridge Road right there. Again, there is no report that I've come across where somebody went and got the 1125 Ridge Road camera. So, like, who's testifying to that? That's Warinsky, or Warrington, rather. Matt. Who else? Okay. So you guys just saw a bunch of names and a bunch of names that you guys would have never heard of. So I want to go back and show you that. Okay. There is nobody on this list that I've come across that is from Pullman. Pullman. The only person from WSU is Dawn Daniels. Okay. So when you take a list, let's go like this. And basically the only people from Moscow Police Department. So what I did is I said, okay, if I was to prosecute this case, how would I be able to do this? And I made Bella sit there and, like, she's like, you know, hey, well, if you went with this person, what would Ann Taylor be able to attack out of that? Would you even call that person? You know, just because you have 110 people on this witness list, you guys look at the Karen Reed case. It doesn't mean that they're calling everybody. But so I said, well, I think right off the rip, I said, I think that you have to get the 911 call in kind of right away because that's what brought them over. You know, I don't think that I'd be leading off with bringing Dylan or Bethany into the mix yet. And I think that wouldn't happen for me until you're at least getting through. I believe that you have to question Noonan's first before you would question either Bethany or Dylan. Again, that's my take. Bill Thompson can go away that he wants to talk about the 11th or the 12th first. And if he did that, then obviously you're not going with law enforcement first. Because if you're going to be talking about what was going on, you know, that weekend. So the only people that are on this list from MPD is you have all the first responders. So So you have Noonan's, Warner, Gunderson, Corbin Smith, Snyder. Then you're going to have Lawrence. Justin Olson, who came to pick up the dog from Gunderson. He's not on the list. Okay. You have Lanier. You have Payne, Blaker. You have Rowinski. You have Morris. I'll tell you specifically what these two are about. There is no Dollinger. There's no Barrett. There's no Tyson Barrett. There's no Dollinger. There's no Chief Fry. You have Mabut, if you want to include her. Who else am I missing? Oh. You have Danny Vargas. See anybody else I'm missing from? You have Tim Smallright. That's the evidence coordinator. You have Casey Macy, who's part of that. You're going to have Mowry. Making sure I didn't leave anybody else off. It's Small Ridge. Sorry, not right. Small Ridge. They say Jonathan Lewinsky. Yeah, I got him. Okay. I think that's going to be everybody. Okay. All right, perfect. Okay. So this is MPD. Noonan's body cam is supposedly catching the sheath. Okay. And if you go back and you look at the documents, it was part of the suppression hearing, but it was also part of the Franks. And the state came back and said they were using Noonan's body cam as it they were able to like take a still frame of his body cam and they were able to catch the okay. And I'm in the process of going and picking that portion out because it depends on what time that's at, and how my order would go. But without a doubt, if that's before 12:10, it's really helpful for the prosecution. For some reason, I feel like it's at 12:55, and like I said, it's going to either be 12:05 or it's going to be 12:55. And it's a matter of if Noonan's went back in after he shut off everything if he went back in there. But if his body cam was to be able to catch the tan leather sheath at 12:05, then you're going to be able to argue, well, was he up there before anybody else? Was he the first one up there? Warner, again, comes to the scene. He's one of the first responders. He was outside the front door, and he was actually having the conversation with Hunter Johnson. Okay, but So his big thing was he was doing scene security at the front door, keeping a log, a crime scene log, which is going to be important. Bill Thompson wants to lock it down and say, hey, this crime scene was not contaminated. This crime scene, obviously what went on between the time of the 911 call and the homicides is what it is. But from the moment that we got there, okay, that's like going to be really big that Bill Thompson and any prosecutor wants to say is that your crime scene has not been contaminated. Gunderson, see, I have a question mark if I would even call Gunderson. Me and Bella were going back and forth on this. Would I make it easy for Ann Taylor if I call Gunderson? I mean, what's his purpose? What did Gunderson do? And for me, the only relevance I see Gunderson is to, if I felt the need to talk about, he had things that he did on the 13th and 14th. One of the big things, though, as a prosecutor, is the Taylor Ave on the 14th. It was Gunderson that found the blood at the White's apartment out on that deck. He took the pictures. Don't know. I just don't have the material to know what happened with the blood at White Ave. There's no reports about that. There's a report that he took pictures of it and saw it. There's a report that he's out neighborhood canvassing. He doesn't have gloves on one of the times he goes in. Corbin Smith is at the back door keeping a log. Snyder, he was the one that came, roped it all off, taking pictures. Gunderson says that he took some pictures as well. I think at the end of the day, I decided that I would call him. And the order that I would call him in is I'd want to back him up to wherever I was going to put Noonan's due to the dog. And I would just be able to show the body cam for where he's saying that the dog was, and then where Snyder took the pictures of where the dog was underneath the desk, with the timestamps, and then showing how then he's coming out with the dog. And but I'd have to put those three kind of like together. Then Lawrence was the one. So you got all of these people are kind of like your first responders. That's all right there. And so the question is Bill Thompson going to go with all of these people and like let them talk about what everything that they just did that day? Is he going to limit them to like that they really weren't involved with other portions of it? And I highly, highly disagree, because this person right here really, really is significant for Ann Taylor on cross-examination to start talking about the 1112 cameras, or I should say the camera, because he got that camera that day. He got the password that day. He was able to be in there. He gave it to Mowry that day, meaning 1113. And Mowry tries to hide that fact until 1119. But right here, this is your group of first responders. Noonan's also wrote up the search warrant. Okay, so that timestamp is important. Trying to think what Smith or, for the most part, then these guys after the first couple days, like they're just not involved. They're not going to be coming back up to the stand to talk about something that they did down the road. They just weren't involved like that. Noonan's, obviously he interviewed Bethany and Dylan, as we've seen on the body cam. Now we get into this next phase, which is, okay, now think about this. I am shocked that Barrett nor Dollinger were on the list, because I'm curious of how you're going to transition to, because this is the guy that called in Idaho State Police. Okay. He's the one that called in Idaho State Police and made the call that, hey, I'm going to call Idaho State Police. And that happened at 12:22. Talked to Mike Mooney, and somehow that goes to then Jeffrey Talbot, who's going to be doing the crime scene. He's going to be in charge of the crime scene stuff. Jeffrey Talbot with his lab people, his photographer, his scientist 1, 2, whoever they're bringing out there. They brought different people at different times. And then the other portion of the Idaho State Police is going to be Darren Gilbertson. Okay. But Lawrence was a detective. He retired in December, so he was out of it in 2022 in December. But he's the one that made the decision. In a written report, he says that, all right, I'm going to call in Blaker and Payne. They're not detectives, but we're going to bring them in like they are detectives. So like that's going to be somehow have to like be kind of explained. Again, the person that was making these phone calls was Tyson Barrett. But Lanier, I'm curious as to what he was going to use him for. Maybe stuff to do about like when the bolo went out to, the world. But at the end of the day, then you have Payne, Blaker, okay, right here, Rowinski and Morris. If you're going to use them, the only time that they're significant and they did anything is in the first couple days, like the 13th and the 14th. Rowinski was sent back to get the SD card. Rowinski dealt with 1112 King Road people. And then Morris just had one job. And I know that he filled in for watching one of the doors for the entry of the house. So you're left with Payne and Blaker, okay, which Blaker's a mystery. If you read the reports, we'll come back to these two. Mabut, you know what she's going to talk about. And then you have Vargas, Mowry. That's it. Besides, then this is your evidence. I mean, when I say like that's it, like this is your evidence coordinator / he's in charge of the evidence room. And then Casey Macy does something with Tim with that because she was the one that passed off the sheath. Why she will be testifying if there was to be a trial is because she passed off the sheath when two dudes, I should say one dude out of nowhere, he had one job this whole entire case, which was, hey, yeah, you, Chad Wilford, go grab that sheath out of evidence from Casey Macy and transport it almost 3/4 of the way to Boise and then meet up with your boy Tupperware and he'll take it the rest of the way. So, so all she would be talking about is that she passed off one of the most important pieces of evidence, and then you have Mowry and Vargas. So this is the MPD. And I think everybody on this list right here, now who's missing? Because I think Ann Taylor's like, just so we're clear, there's no Justin Olson on this list for like when you're going to be telling, this is the story of the arrest of BryanKohberger, not like every step has to be talked about. But that takes Murphy out of the picture. Okay. Rosendal's not on here. Tisdall's not on here. Like I told you, the other couple people. Okay. Now it's understanding the divide, which is, but yet the connection. Oh, hold on. Idaho State Police. And I personally feel like looking through all of this, it was okay. Okay, so the first part, this is going to be the Jeffrey, this is the Talbot part. And there's only one L. Regardless. So when they went to Jack Decore's, okay, when they went to Jack Showalter's, when they're at 1122 King Road, where else did they go to get anything? Anything that's going to do with forensic, crime scene processing, that's going to be Jeff Talbot's area and the people that are under him. And then your next part is going to be, they said was Gilbertson. And this is a little question mark for me because then you have your interviews. Then you have your videos and surveillance. Then you had your victimology. And that was Joe Lake, and he's not even on the list. Okay. Again, this is Idaho State Police. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Justin Dean's on there. He was going to be used for one reason and one reason only. Okay, so how I see Payne and Gilbertson is there's a command post, so somebody has to be in charge of who's going to do what, right? Who's deciding, hey, this person named Cody Herman, Idaho State Police, Cody Herman, what's Cody going to go do? Who's making those decisions? Well, Talbot's going to be in charge of ISP lab personnel, which is going to be the people like Carrie Hogan, Miller, Janine Ayers. Let's see. Taylor Mahayek, or whatever she says her last name. Anybody that's coming out to the scene to process something, they're also doing that back at the lab. Jade Miller. I mean, look at these names. Have you guys heard about Timothy Mullen? Nope, haven't heard of him. Annette Murphy, Brian Knoll, Ann Nord, Riley Nolan. There you go, Riley, and she's Idaho State Police. But she's with the lab. Guess what? I don't even think she wrote up a report in this case, but she did look over some stuff. She's on the list. Ryan O'Neill, I believe he's with the FBI. Maureen Polton. Okay, here. Hugh Powell, he did a lot of interviews. Hugh Powell's going to be under both of these. Gideon Roberts did a lot of interviews. He's going to be under Gilbertson. Gilbertson would have been telling this guy what to do. You have Eric Seat over in this department. Jake. Jake doing a lot of video collecting. Okay, so Jake goes over here, and however he says his last name is Schwacky. Okay, so this is what Ann Taylor's team would have had to do, but as well as Bill Thompson, you're breaking all of this down to figure out. Obviously, you have all your reports. You know what they said that they did in this case. You're trying to put them in order. But based off of what I have and you guys have and the public has right now, we're missing 99% of the case, which in my opinion was done by the FBI. For example, see who else I wanted to put down over there though. Oh. Neil Uhrig, okay? And then Mallory. Then you have Van Leuven. Then you have Pennsylvania. Right here. That's Justin Tarantine. The only thing he would be testifying to is that he met with Chad Wilford and got the sheath and took it the rest of the way to the lab. Okay. Literally, his name is in one report. Other homeboy in one report. Tina Walt Hall, she's ISP Lab. Stephanie Wilt, ISP Lab. So put them down there. And they were responsible for 46 reports. All these people. There's a White. She got married, though. Then it's Dace. I can tell you all these people. Somebody by the last name. Ewing. All right. Hal Roberts. And then I want to show you guys something. Okay, they left off the ticket a bunch of people, in my opinion, that dealt with the tips from ISP. So FBI was doing tips and the Idaho State Police, they were doing tips, okay? And remember, you're not going to be talking about IGG at all, okay? So who is going to, you're Bill Thompson, right? When does BryanKohberger's name get brought up in this investigation? And when you're bringing your narrative out to the jury? I personally believe that they said they were going to use Payne. There's no way they could use Payne because of what he testified to. And how, like, I mean, what he's already said under oath. So then you're left with, what, Blaker? You're left with Gilbertson. I don't think Payne was going to be able, I mean, I know that Bill Thompson had mentioned Payne, but I just don't think that that was going to fly because of what was already on the record. So for me, I always struggled to understand how there could be a fake way that you got to him, right? If you're going to challenge the investigation. So if you're going to be saying things like, you're doing all of these things and BryanKohberger is none of the tip names, right? Any of the interviews that you conducted, nobody said his name, right? Like that would be like a really, I would think, if the courts are just giving me a way to say that we got to him, versus I would be over here saying, why aren't you just saying that you got to him the same way that you did the probable cause? And if that was the case, you'd be talking about the people over there at WSU, right? You guys, they're not even on the list. You know who else isn't on the list? What Blaker was doing with Pullman. What he was doing with Pullman. And what he was doing with Pullman is that he was working closely with Chris Engel. And Chris Engel and his people underneath him at Pullman, they were working up spreadsheets. And when they were hunting down and looking for white Elantras, and they were writing down all these plates. They were also running plates, meaning if you had a white Elantra from this year to this year, and you had a parking pass at the university, if you for UI, and then same thing with Washington State. Then they were talking about parking like tickets. Then they were talking about but all these things. There's no one on like law enforcement. So the only person like who can testify to that. The love spreadsheet. How much time are you taking up with telling your narrative to the jury, right, through your witnesses before the name BryanKohberger is going to come up? right? So I said to myself, okay, well, you should be able to go like this. Can this person talk about BryanKohberger before his arrest? Well, then you have to talk about who knew about it in command. You're left with Lanier, Payne, Blaker, Vargas, Mowry. Those are your options, in my opinion, that you could potentially use to say this. Then you would go to Idaho State Police. Okay. Or are we talking about a federal agent was going to be saying something? And it's nobody over here, which is all the lab people. Like, they're out. Okay. So then you have Gilbertson, Powell, Roberts, Hoxie, Powell, same person, Van Leuven. And you have these randoms. Like, what? I'm going with Blaker. I'm going with Blaker. That's who I would pick. And that Blaker was told this from the FBI. So the FBI tip link, right? But then you can't say that the tip, well, then his name did link to what? You can't bring up IgG at all, right? Then how do you say that you went and got his DNA to test it? Well, are you bringing up the trash pull? Are you bringing up any of that shit? Don't you have to bring up that stuff? I mean, how is this gonna go to, I was like, literally, I'm like, dude, how do I make it up? How do I make up the way that it didn't happen? Do you understand how difficult this is? And people are like, no, it's not that difficult. I'm like, okay, it's not. Then you come up here and tell me how Bill Thompson was going to make this pop. So what do we got in chat? What do we think? Unfortunately, the defense stipulated. Well, they stipulated to that they would come up with a way, and if they couldn't come up with it, then the judge was going to come up with it. But I agree with, I wouldn't have been stipulating to anything. So I don't know if they stipulated to it. Did they stipulate to it? They said that we're going to come to, I thought it was, if we can't come to an agreement, then the judge would, right? You guys see how detailed all of these reports have been for the most part, right? Lana Bay, how many interviews occurred before 12:10 and after? Well, yeah, that could be broken down. Here's Chad. Chad Wilford. This is his report. On November 16th, at approximately 6, did I say 6? 8:36 a.m. I, Corporal Wilford of the Idaho State Police, assisted the Moscow Police Department by transporting evidence related to an active investigation to the State Forensics Laboratory. We can look that up there, by the way. On November 16, 2022, at approximately 8:36, I signed for and received one item from Casey Macy of the Moscow Police Department. An item 11 knife sheath in a sealed brown paper bag. I contacted Corporal Turrentine and informed him of the assignment and asked for his assistance. Do you guys know that there has not been a single thing that was transported to the lab that needed somebody to, hey, can you meet me? If you meet me halfway, right? Like, why aren't you just taking this item? But he needed assistance. And so he calls up the homeboy over here, Justin, and meet me. Okay, I maintain custody of the evidence from when I received it until I release it to the custody of Corporal Justin Tarantine. I was subsequently informed that the evidence had been successfully transported to the lab. Nothing further. They let me know, hey, it got there. Okay, thank you. You guys, there is no report out of every report that's in this case, and no report looks like this. Okay. I mean, Blaker broke a table and had a witness do it and put it in. Let's see what else. All right, so right here, last name, Millar, like that. He's on here. He interviewed Jack Showalter for the first time, so that's his point of his purpose on the list. Then Jack Showalter was interviewed a second time. That person isn't even on here, and that is last name's Caitlin, but it's really a dude. He's not even on there. Then the person that actually did like the surveillance of Showalter. So Showalter gets sent to David Hathaway. Okay. Then Showalter, this person goes out and interviews Showalter for the first time. Then Hoxie, who's important, Hoxie goes out and interviews Cole B. Okay, so during Cole's interview, Cole agrees to, he didn't have a car and walked wherever he needed to go around the campus. He rode the bus home to Boise and borrowed his brother's pickup while in town. So Cole's over here saying he doesn't have a vehicle. At approximately 1:36, he consented to a DNA sample. And so Idaho State Police Detective Millar arrived on scene and collected the DNA sample from him, which I took custody of and submitted it in evidence for processing. So the same person that just interviewed Jack Showalter then just shows up out of the blue on the same day. Here's Cole. They know each other. Nobody waived a preliminary hearing. Just so you guys know that. Why do you think that somebody waived a preliminary hearing in this case? That's not what happened in this case. Nobody waived a preliminary hearing. Okay, look at all these different names. Ready? Then Kenneth Beckner. They're not on the list. What'd they go and do? They went and interviewed one of the people that used to live in the house. Look at this. Report 5. I'm just going down the list of like David Cortez. No. David Cortez doesn't make the list. What the fuck did David Cortez do? Well, he did November 18th. David Cortez went with Chris. Yeah, he's not on the list either. To interview blank regarding the homicides. Okay. So they're just sending these randoms. This is the only person that I've found besides phones that I don't have. But this, not on the list, an interview on the 10th. Well, it was on 11/18. But this person actually has a picture of, she was with Xana until 2 a.m. She took a picture with Xana and walked home. This person's not on the list. And I would think that, okay, this person shows that Xana was actually at Sycamore High until 2. whoever this interview was, Idaho State Police went and interviewed Ryan Hoxie, so his name's in the mix, and he went to interview he wanted ISP to know that, hey, I heard a dog barking around 4 a.m. I reported to the police the following day after the incident. Okay, so it's a boy. He knew Kaylee since her freshman year at the University of Kansas. Also dated his friend. They were in the same fraternity together. So whoever this is friends with Kaylee. So I believe this is coming from 1118. People were interviewed multiple times, but people didn't know that they were interviewing somebody multiple times. Anyways. Bill Thompson isn't going to be talking about any of that stuff. Okay. He's going to be focused on his peeps here, which is the Nick Balances of the world. If you could possibly get Jared and Heather Barnhart to be able to testify. I'm still at a loss. Like, Detective Blaker just wasn't writing reports. There was no reports from MPD before the arrest. Shane Cox is Amazon. Gary Dawson is who's going to testify that the tox levels were just so high that that's why nobody could fight back, and one person could do all of this. He's on the next page actually. Dawn Daniels is going to testify to what? She wrote up the search warrant for the apartment. That's all she did. Dawn Daniels just didn't do anything. Yeah, they're not gonna call any of these people. They're gonna be calling. That's why my question, you guys, is how soon until they get to the BryanKohberger part. I mean, I think Bill was coming hot with BryanKohberger, like literally. Someone's going to be testifying that they were, maybe it would be Darren Gilbertson. Hey, yeah, we had people interviewing, roommates and fraternity people, sorority people, like going through all of that, and that nothing was panning out. And then they get this tip, and they see that they put his name into the system, right? And then, so who's going to be giving that testimony? Gilbertson? I think they're staying far away from pain. I just do. Right? Yeah, because they don't have anything on him. You have Victoria Gooch. She's not on the list. You guys know that, right? Victoria Gooch, not on the list. She interviewed Dylan. Well, Blaker was there as well. Did Blaker write up a report on that one? No Gooch. No Gooch. No Gucci Coochie. Vince Browning is FBI. He's from Pennsylvania. I mean, I was just looking through all this stuff and I'm like, this is like Eric Bailey. In 2017, he was with Shoshone County Sheriff Patrol. 2020, he was with the Rathdrum Police. 2013, officer, he somewhere else. 2011, he was a student cop at CDA. And so I'm over here like, well, how is this trial going to be 3 months, you know? Maybe because Ann Taylor was like, it's going to, if they're planning on calling like nobody to the stand here, well, then we're going to be calling a lot of people, you know? I think Vicky Gooch would be on Ann Taylor's list. I think Vicky Gooch would have to like, I would love to know her opinions of that. You know, she just wrote the facts down. You know, Vicky Gooch, in one sentence you're writing somebody's not scared. Another sentence you're writing somebody is terrified. I mean, who was asking the questions during? We haven't heard the audio. Who else to take a look at here? When I'm like going through these names, I'm like, okay, yeah, Gary Dawson, he's a rebuttal because Ann's over here like, we're not even talking about toxicology. What is Gary Dawson talking about? Like nobody's. So he's a rebuttal on toxicology. And then obviously, like, these are just law enforcement, you know, people. Chelsea Deisher. Chelsea, I'm like, who the fuck is Chelsea? I go through, I'm like, I haven't come across her yet. Elizabeth D'Angela, not a fucking clue. You know, have you guys heard that name? No, she's not in any of the reports that I've read. Michaelis Douglas. Yeah, Mike Douglas. I know him. He dates Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yes, but he's also, that's your digital forensic CPA audit guy. No, nobody on this list has anything to do with IGG. IGG's out. These are all law enforcement people. Candy Flora, come on down. Cody Herman. Cody's with ISP. Rob Hill. Immel. Like this is what you're getting into. The Rob Hills of the world, the Immels of the world. That's why is Mowry going to be called to testify to, yep, I gathered all this stuff. Yep, I put in all these search warrants and I was just funneling it all to the FBI. You know, and or are the Maoris of the world not testifying and the Paynes of the world not testifying? I don't know. I think they're a huge liability, but so Rob Hill, FBI, he's the one that made the report to show this is the path of travel. He's documenting the car based on headlights. And Ann Taylor's like, yeah, I'm not too concerned. I know how I'm going to handle Hill, which I have a pretty good feeling how she would handle Hill as well, because he has no idea what the cars are in the back. You don't know, especially the ones that aren't turning in to that area when was just a car going back there. There was car runs that were given to the FBI, and they were documenting how, like, the timing of stuff. Does Kane, the owner of the Linda Lane footage, Danny Vargas, when does she get called? I mean, who's going to be introducing all of these camera footages? Like, remember what Tyson Barrett was in charge of? Oh, Maury had me entering all this stuff in and all these videos. There was like 60, like, who the there's just, I mean, I'm telling you guys, there's just shit everywhere. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm putting all this stuff together. And I'm like, this is crazy. Darren Gilbertson, what did Darren do? He was just directing people where to go. And nothing was panning out. You know, and they're going to say, well, we took people's DNA and we were running it against the DNA in the knife sheath and it didn't match. So, you know, we moved along quickly from that person. And Taylor on Cross. Okay, well, there's other one's going to come up that you didn't enter all the profiles that were unknown male into CODIS. Does that come up? Who are these people? Dana Hoffman. Fuck if I know. About to find out, though. I'm telling you, it's like 50-50 men to women, though, I'll tell you that. Alexandria, whoever that is. Natalie Imbruglia sister. Anthony Immel, there you go. FBI card charts, identification. He's going to be over here testifying to, they were handing me stuff and this is what it was labeled. I have no idea. I have no idea where this stuff is at. Like, where these cameras are. That's how he would have to testify, because he doesn't know. Because that's, I mean, Anne would have to ask if he was being told that, but based off his report, it doesn't seem like it was. Talk about, I think, what should do next. Jessica Kelly. I haven't come across that name in any report. Jason Knight, Jordan Knight's fucking long lost brother. Jonathan Knight, New Kids on the Block. What BK should do next? I think he should. What do you mean? He pled guilty. If I didn't do it, I wouldn't have pled guilty. Michael Lang. Roger that. Justin Leary. I'm so pissed that they have no faith. They have no faith in Leslie Lavin. What do you mean? If I was BryanKohberger, I would be like, what the fuck did I sign up for? Clearly he thinks he's staying at the Holiday Inn, okay? People are yelling obscenities to him, right? I mean, what did he think was going to happen? I don't know. I would be saying, yep, what did I sign myself up for? If I didn't do it, I would be like, I'm going to have to appeal this because this is crazy, right? Vincent Lopez, Karen Lowe. Who are these people? I mean, do I think the process was pretty fucked up? Sure. Do I want to know why my lawyer made my my preliminary hearing 6 months down the road? I mean, that has to be the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard of. I don't know why. I want to know what was the plan in that. They're only just going to build a case. Okay. Why would you not go and have a preliminary hearing within your 14 days? And nobody can answer that. Nobody can sit there and say, I mean, also, you know, the whole time that you're waiting for that a grand jury could impanel and that is what would happen. But I don't understand why you would not, why you would push that all the way back to 6 months. And I don't want to hear this shit about, there's just so much discovery I had to go through. Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Whatever they produced to you, and they didn't produce, in my opinion, well, we're going to find out what they gave her up to that point. But if you think that you're using something at a preliminary hearing that I haven't seen, you're not. Right? Do you understand that? Like, how are you going to have at a preliminary hearing, you use something that you didn't give her? I haven't seen one piece of discovery yet. Yeah, you have all these reports. This is discovery. They gave her stuff at that point. Go back and check, guys. I understand your minds are all the way 2.5, 3 years later. I'm just saying I don't understand why you wouldn't go forward with your preliminary hearing. Oh, and I want to talk about something. On on January 6th or January 10th, let me go take a look because it's really important. Justin Blaker. This is the most important report. This is all that I would need to know. Okay. Did Ann Taylor get this report in the initial discovery dump when she was handed the discovery? And what was the date that they said, okay, we're going to go ahead and push back this preliminary hearing for 6 months? This is a report. It was written up on January 4th, 2023, but it was for an action on November 21st, 2022. This is what Blaker did. I traveled from Moscow, Idaho to Meridian to drop off evidence at the Idaho State Police Forensic Laboratory located at blank. After getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile, which had been generated by the ISP Forensic Lab. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by Idaho State Police investigators from District 2 during their initial search of 1122 King Road on November 13th. Once I took possession of the DNA, because this is what matters about it all, is when you start talking about right here. Boom. Ann Taylor would have got that and had that and saw this right here, okay, she knows that Idaho State Police contracts with Othram for this newfound grant in 2021 that was for cold cases for IGG. Okay, so the question is when was this report turned over to Ann Taylor? Okay, this wasn't written up until the 4th of January, but it was a task done by Blaker, right, on the 21st. Then he, and it's saying where it came from. It's DNA from the sheath. Okay. I arrived in Houston, Texas. I traveled to Othram, which is located at blank. And I arrived at Othram. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile to this person. Well, that's not true at all. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. The first 2 labs. There's no first 2 labs with anything. Idaho State Police is the ones that you guys need to read this. Okay, I wish you guys would just read. Stop writing. Read right here. I signed for a DNA profile which had been generated by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab. It's the only place that it's been. In the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab in Boise. This DNA profile, that does not mean the sheath, came with me and I took the sheath to Othram, a profile, and it states what it was in. It says the DNA profile was stored in a vial, which was then packaged in an evidence envelope by Idaho State Police lab technicians and properly sealed with evidence tape. I signed the package showing I was taking possession of it on 11/21/2022. Point being is that Ann Taylor, once seeing this report and reading this report, she would have had to gone through, though. This is report 93, so there's 92 in front of it, okay? And you'd have been reading it. I would have read it in order first, and then I would have taken my time to put it all in order based on the task and the date of the task. That would have been the second way that I would have organized the discovery. But right when she sees this, she knows that the lab already extracted and there's a profile, right? I signed for a DNA profile right there. It's already done. There's a profile. This DNA profile does not say if it's male or female. This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by Idaho State Police investigators from District 2 during the initial search. This is what she was going to argue and say, why is Payne saying that he found it? Blaker's over here saying Idaho State Police found it. So Ann Taylor, if Ann Taylor was to have seen this, I just need to know the date that Ann Taylor said that she agreed with Bill Thompson and said, hey, yep, let's go ahead and have this preliminary hearing and set it out 6 months later. They want to know the reason. Okay. Because then this is what she's looking at then too, okay? Is in none of these reports that are from the Idaho State Police or MPD is there a report that says the sheath came back as a match to BryanKohberger until you get to what Payne typed up. And that didn't get typed up and entered into anything until in February 1st. So when she sees she has the PCA, okay, which she doesn't get until he's extradited back. So she gets the PCA, okay? Then here, I'm putting in for my discovery. I'm telling you guys to not fucking get your people away from there and do not let them in that home. They're not cleaning anything out. Stop. Okay. Then she gets her ass on over there on January 6th to go through the place with her people. Then she's like, you guys didn't collect any of this shit, and gives them like 12 things to collect. Like, what are you doing? These mattresses, these bed frames, what the fuck? Okay. So I just know that based on the dates of the reports, they matter to me because when did Ann Taylor, she physically couldn't have had something on a date because it wasn't written up yet. But here, this puppy right here, this puppy was. But I just need to know when they turned over this discovery, what date did they go to? Because this was written on January 4th. If this wasn't in what Ann Taylor got originally, I mean, I think that's fucking crazy, right? But they would have had to give her this. I mean, it's like, it's very similar to the Dan Moore case. Jill Bolton just dropped the ball. Dan Moore had an alibi witness, and Jill Bolton didn't call Dan Moore's alibi witness to the stand during a preliminary hearing. The fuck are you doing? Why didn't you call the alibi witness? So I don't know when these reports get released. When I say these reports, the filings, I think everybody's going to be pretty amazed that I personally think that both sides were playing their cards the best of their ability. And if you want to say that it's, I mean, the best thing that we'll see if people were hiding stuff. But it's our right to have a speedy preliminary, hearing, or right to a speedy trial. And ultimately, Ann Taylor was telling Bryan that she could not be ready to defend him at a speedy trial. And I would have been like, okay, well, where can I sign a waiver because you are? Like, if you pay attention to the paperwork here, they didn't have stuff. Like, you can't, the prosecution can't use stuff against you that they don't have. But I just think that Ann Taylor was saying that, hey, all the stuff that's going on in this, and I don't know if Bryan's over there saying I was fucking framed. Oh my God. And then so he's like, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm going to waive my speedy trial right because I was framed, and I want you to go find all this shit to prove that I was framed. I don't know what fucking trail BryanKohberger was leading Ann on, But I do know it makes perfect sense now why the defense is over here like, Judge, we need you to sign off on all of this shit because we need to get this from the feds because the state and the local law enforcement, they don't have anything. They didn't do anything in this case. We need all the shit that the feds did. Ann Taylor was probably wondering, how the fuck did you get probable cause to get any of this shit, right? There's nothing about Bryan in any of this, and yet here, Payne gets probable cause for all of these warrants, right? And Ann Taylor's over here like, what did you know before you're filling out stuff? Well, we had a working live document, right? That's what Ann Taylor was pulling her hair out over, like, and she's trying to ask Payne, well, you wrote this up. What did you know? Well, I used other people and what they knew and blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, okay, well, what did you know at this point, at this point, at this point? And I wish she would have broke it down better. But I think she did. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Hitler was listening to. I heard him, Payne, say that he saw BryanKohberger's timing advance records. I mean, what the fuck? What more do you need the guy to say? And then he says that, no, we didn't have his name. No, it was not until this. We did not look at, no, we were not interested. There was no such thing as a front license plate wasn't a thing until after what? His name. You knew his name, right? Yes. And the reason Ann Taylor was talking about the year is because she was going to use the year you guys changed. It was after you actually had BryanKohberger's name and Blaker. Now I believe why she never called Blaker to the stand, because she was going to blitz him because Blaker had his name because he got it from the Love spreadsheet. The Love spreadsheet. I mean, think about what the odds are in this. There's all these white Elantras. And that's why Jay's over here like, well, I don't know how you guys settled on that it was a white Elantra when it's 7 different charts. You have 7 different cars it could potentially be. And I think what they wanted them to say on that is because there was somebody else that drove a white Elantra that you were interested in. Isn't that true? But there's these 7 different charts that this could be the make, right? And so how did you just... Okay, we're going to go with that. You didn't put a bolo out for any other vehicle but just the white Elantra. And so once that happens, do you guys know that the first people that actually made a spreadsheet and wrote down 12 cars? 12 cars. That Love guy, 1 out of those 12 vehicles was Brian's car. What the fuck are the odds in that? And then they don't even use Love. And they don't even use anybody from Pullman. It's because they're staying way away from that for whatever reason. They don't even put, there's nobody that's Pullman on the list. They don't even have WSU people on the list. And over here, fucking Hitler was like, you can't tell me that they didn't get to him in part by these WSU fucking queries. And it's like, they didn't. And now they're not calling them to the stand. So what the fuck what are they going to say? And they're just going to say, they're going to go with their own little narrative. Which is, we got this tip, and this tip told us to look into BryanKohberger. Right? And so we did. Okay. And I just want to know who's going to testify to this and say, okay, so when you looked into him, let's go through the checklist. What did you do? You put him in. He didn't have a record, right? No criminal record, right? Okay. He's not in CODIS, right? So he wouldn't have matched any of the DNA samples that you had, right? Oh, we didn't get his DNA when we got his name. Well, when did you get his name? You're gonna go with the fact that you got his name on December 19th? Okay. All right, so then what'd you do? Well, we realized that he was a PhD student. Okay. And he came from Pennsylvania. Okay. We realized that he was pulled over twice. So we Googled him. When he was pulled over, he has a white Elantra. Wow. Okay. And that's the car that we're looking for. We're looking for a white Elantra. Okay. But you guys are looking for a 2011, 2013. But you're also looking for 7 different kinds. But you're just going with this white Elantra. Okay. What else? He got pulled over. He was the only person in the vehicle. Oh, he was in criminal justice. And he wrote some weird ass fucking shit on the internet. Come on, think. I mean, after this person testifies, they're going to say, okay, no more further questions. Like, this is what led. Okay. Then Ann Taylor's going to get up there and say, all right, so this is what you had. What'd you do with this phone number? It was on a ticket. So we put the phone number into our geofence. And what did it come up with? It didn't show up in the geofence. So that means he wasn't by the crime scene between 3 and 5, right? Correct. Okay. Then what'd you do? Because you're going to say, well, how many tips did you guys get in this case? Fuck, we got 10,000 tips. We got 15,000. We got 20,000 tips. Okay. And so people are calling you and telling you stuff about all these people, right? And so here you're looking at something, and now you were going around and just surreptitiously picking up people's DNA, right? To go and put it into the, okay, hey, let's go get, you went and got cigarette butts, right? You got them, and then what'd you do with them? Okay. Did you try to get his DNA? No. Can you bring up that you went to get his dad's? Because that's going to go into IGG, right? No, you're going to have to go into, okay, so he wasn't on the geofence. Yeah, but in my training and experience, people hide themselves and will shut their phones off. Okay. So you interviewed a coach. Do you recall when you interviewed a coach and his phone was not on the geofence, right? And this coach was the dad of somebody that Kaylee babysat, correct? What'd you do? Did you get his DNA? What'd you do with it? Did you enter it in? No, we didn't really do anything with it for a while. We didn't do anything for like a couple years. What? I mean, all these people. Okay, so what was your interest in this white Elantra? I mean, there's going to be way more meat and potatoes behind that. Okay, you liked it because, oh, you had a car circling around. Okay, well, were there multiple cars? Like, why during that time? You're going to talk about the Bethany and Dylan. And yeah, well, the roommates, we have somebody that saw him. Okay, saw him or saw what? Okay, like, do you see how this is going to be all convoluted? But she's going to stick with, well, isn't this all the same stuff that you were doing with everybody here? You guys were going and getting people's phone records or getting their phones, downloading them, and not even looking at them. You think that's going to come up? Think about it. Hey, you guys wanted these people's phones. You downloaded the phone. You have these extractions. Who went through them? Did you go through them? No, we have no idea where so-and-so was at. You know, Jack D's telling you went to bed at 1. He had a phone conversation with his girlfriend for 17 minutes that he says he doesn't remember having. And then she calls him repeatedly, right? He says he didn't have that phone conversation. What? Yeah. So I'm over here just wondering, I'm like, damn. Like, just like I wondered, okay, how is Hank Brennan going to go ahead and present it? And as soon as I got to see 2-3 seconds of Hank Brennan, I knew where this was headed. So I'm just like, damn, how is, you know, Bill Thompson going to hammer this home that you got this tip, and then you would actually go through like, okay, so what made you go further with this tip than any of the other tips? What made you have all these people calling in? You have people calling in knowing that there was a knife sheath at the crime scene, and nobody knows that there's a knife sheath at the crime scene. Right? You have, you're putting all your eggs in a basket, which is the time of the crime being around what time? Then we're not even talking about Molly McMichael. Okay. You guys are doing all these search warrants, right? Okay. Molly McMichael. She's there. Is that how you found out there was ever a DoorDash order? How would my client know about a DoorDash? He wouldn't, right? Okay. So the DoorDash person, you're looking at these video. Did you show Molly? Did she say, yeah, that's my vehicle? No, you never asked her that. She says, what? She pulled into the driveway and just sat there and she saw somebody going up, ducking down. Okay. Then she pulls out of the driveway that she was supposed to deliver the food at because she couldn't find the number. Okay, what else? And then, she pulls around back. And is that all consistent with the lighting that you're watching on these houses? Okay, what? Molly then still lost, and then she's just walking aimlessly down fucking King. Okay, oh, there she is. She says she can't find the address, and then she walks back up. Okay, what else did she tell you? Oh, that she saw a tan sedan? Mm-hmm. And are you aware that Molly McMichael was pulled over for, I don't know, DUI, or like they thought she was trafficking meth? And here she's on a body cam saying how she saw Bryan and all this stuff. And in your report, you're saying that she never said anything like this. She saw some blonde with reddish hair, frosted tips. I mean, this is wild. Is Molly McMichael testifying? When does Molly get called to the stand if you're Bill Thompson? The state calls Molly McMichael. Oh, good afternoon, Bill. How are you there, Molly? Thanks for coming in. How's your arthritis? All right, Molly, what do you do for a living? I am a DoorDash driver. Okay. What were you doing on November 13th, 2022? I was door dashing for 12 to 16 hours like I normally do. Okay. And where do you live? Moscow. I've lived here my whole life. My dad's a football coach. I just love it here. Okay. So you're familiar with the area for the most part. Yeah. I mean, all right. So what vehicle were you driving on November 13th? Now, do you recall one of your last orders of the night? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I'll never forget it. It's ruined my life. Okay. Well, can you go ahead and describe for the jury where you were headed on your last order? Yeah. I had to go to Jack in the Box. All the kids love that place, and they order so late. So I picked up that order. I can't remember if I actually if I double dashed and got another order as well. But then I went from Jack in the Box over to Moscow, and that was going to be my last one. And so, okay, what time was this at? I think I dropped it off around 4. Okay. How long were you at the establishment? Oh, see, I got lost. I mean, I got there, but then I didn't know what house it was, so I had to walk around a little bit. So I think I pulled into the area, back over there by the house around 3:45. Okay. Were you texting DoorDash? Do you have like an app? Were they wondering where their food was? You messaging, hey, I can't find your house, anything like that? I don't recall. I don't remember. It's been so long. Okay. Was the house lit up? Did you see anybody? Oh, yes. I saw a girl ducking from me a couple times. She was just standing up there, just ducking. Okay. Now, did you go into the police department? How did Did you come forward? How did that all work out? How did the police officers find out that you were door dashing? They found me on a geofence because I didn't come forward. Okay. Have you ever door dashed there before? I can't recall. Probably not. I mean, I think I would have remembered, then I wouldn't have gotten lost, you know? Okay. Um, did you hear any music playing? Does anything, stick out? Where'd you put the food down at? How does that all work? Oh, we walk up to the door and we always ask them to put their lights on, because it gets scary. And I sat the food down and I took a picture of it. And then I just clicked out like I normally do and got in my car. I think my dog was with me. I don't think anybody else was with me. My husband or boyfriend, he goes with me sometimes. Yeah. And then I just left. Did you hear anything? No. It can be crazy around that area. That's where all like the college kids hang out. Okay. Did you see anything out of the ordinary? I think I just saw, when I was walking down, I think I saw like a tan sedan with the driver. He was really focused. It was just one person. He's really focused. Did he have a mask on? No. Okay. All right. So you dropped that off at, do you have a DoorDash number? Can I approach? Then they would show her, yep, that's my DoorDash number. Yep, that's when I would have clicked it. That's the picture of it. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. And your phone was with you then? That's how you DoorDash? You use your phone? Mm-hmm, sure do. Okay, no more further questions. It's all yours, Anne. What do you think? What's Anne going to do? Okay. Well, she has to be really nice. Molly, what kind of phone do you have? What kind of phone did you have back then? Was it a smartphone? Was it an iPhone? Okay. She's all yours. Bill Thompson's just gonna, she's all yours. What do you say? You have Molly on the stand. You're Ann Taylor. What are you gonna do? Well, well, Molly, I want to start with, you said that you grew up here. Is that right? Okay. And have you ever been a witness before in a murder trial? Objection relevance? Well, I I think it's relevant. You think it's relevant? You think that's going to be objected to? Ask her if she's promised anything for her testimony. Molly, how many times did you meet with the prosecutors or the police? How many times were you interviewed? You want to find that out. Because right now all we have is one interview. Okay. So we have Molly with one interview um, with Officer Payne, right? Molly, you said you grew up in Moscow, Idaho. Is that right? Okay. So you said you're kind of familiar with the area. How long had you been door dashing at that point? And you couldn't recall if you've ever door dashed at that address? No. No. Molly, I'm just going to hop to it really quick here. After the murders, and you said you didn't come forward, they came to you, and you interviewed with Detective Payne. Did you, after all of that took place, had you been pulled over on any other occasions that you can recall? Do you recall in September of 2024 getting pulled over? Do you recall in October? Do you recall all of these times getting pulled over? Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Well, first of all, when you met with Detective Payne, you never told him that you saw somebody by the name of Brian. Is that correct? Yeah, no, I did not tell him that. Okay. In fact, you told him that there was a male driver of a tan sedan, and he did not look at me. He was completely zoned out and just drove right past you. And you also stated that the driver was a white person with blonde or red spiky hair. And he was wearing a light colored collared shirt. Okay. Molly, I'm going to go ahead and play a video for you. If you can identify if this is in fact you in this video, and do you recall when this is from? Okay. Go ahead and play this section of this section. It plays Molly saying, "Oh my God, I'm the DoorDash. I have to testify against. I saw Brian. I saw Brian." Okay. Molly, do you recall making these statements? Can you explain what it is? Where did you see Brian? And you have to testify against Brian. What do you think she's going to say? Oh, yeah. Molly, you've given out your car before, or your boyfriend's car before. Isn't that correct? In the past? Have you ever helped out friends and let them use your car? Okay. And when you met with the police, did they ever show you a video and ask you to identify yourself? If you had seen yourself in a video, if you've seen in your car or whatever? Okay. Did you ever tell the police that while you were at the 1122 King Road residence, that you pulled into the front parking lot, and before you dropped off your order, that a white Elantra pulled in behind you? What? I didn't say that shit. What the fuck? Give me that report. Oh God, Molly. Molly, calm down. So you didn't say that? You didn't say that? That while you were pulled in, that a white Elantra pulled in behind you? And you didn't say that right here? Let me see that. Let me see this. During the time Molly was in the area of the King Road residence, the white Elantra can be seen via the... Oh my God. Just so you know, they couldn't do this. Molly, how many times had you been over that area that night? delivering a couple different times. Okay. When you were interviewing with the police, did they at any point in time show you a 6-pack lineup of people and ask you to identify who you could have potentially saw driving? No. No. Did they give you a 6-pack lineup of people of the long brown-haired girl you saw that was ducking from you? They gave me, yeah, they showed me pictures of the victims, and I told them that the person I saw didn't look like any of them. Did they show you any pictures of anybody else besides the victims? Molly, when you were there, did you ever tell the police that you saw an SUV? No, I did not tell them I saw an SUV. I saw a tan sedan. I know what I saw. I know what I saw. Okay, Molly. So sorry. So you never told the officers that you saw a tan SUV? No, I saw a tan sedan. So if Officer Payne wrote in his report that Molly likely saw a light-colored SUV which left the area, oh my God. Hell no, I didn't see no SUV. I told him I saw a sedan, a tan sedan. Okay. Molly, I have different smartphones all the time, and I'm a big fan of the iPhone. And one thing, though, that happens when I'm, taking pictures or texting somebody is I go to like take the picture or go to write the text out. And then I go to press send, and I think I hit send, but it just doesn't send. Have you ever had that happen to you when you're using your phone? Oh, yes, Miss Taylor, all the time, actually. Yeah, it happens to me too. Okay. So when you're using this DoorDash app, okay, can you explain again? You have to click on the app, and then it pops up, and then you take a picture of the food when you sit it down, right? Is that right? Okay. And then do you have to press a button to send that? Yes, you do. It's not, you just don't take a picture and it just goes automatically. Does it like load up somehow and then you have to press send? Yes. Yes. Okay. So for example, Molly, if you were to go take that picture and then you didn't hit or thought that you hit the send button, right? And it wasn't until maybe you looked down at your phone and you realized that, oh my gosh, I didn't hit the button. Okay. You would then look down, oh, I need to hit send, right? I know what you mean. So if I didn't go through, you mean yes, yeah. So when I would go back to that app, or I was looking at my phone, yeah, I would need to press send. Well, especially if you were going to take another order, for example, right? Yes. So my question is, Molly, that evening, when you press send to take that picture, that phone, your phone, it doesn't store the photo in your phone, right? Like the DoorDash app gets it, but it doesn't go into your roll of film, right? Yeah, that's correct. Okay. And so it doesn't consider your order delivered until you actually take the picture and send it through. And that actually then puts a timestamp, which then allows you to what? Take more deliveries. Now, Miss Taylor, I don't know what you mean. You mean if I didn't hit send? Well, yeah. Let's say that you take the picture and you thought that you hit send because it gets stuck sometimes, right? And so therefore, when you would have gotten back into your car, you walk back to your car, you get in your car. Have you ever had it where, oh gosh, I have to press the send button again because it didn't send? Now, because you were driving an SUV that evening, correct? And the reason I ask you this, Molly, is the officers you said never showed you the vehicle and had you identify what vehicle was yours. So by the timestamp of 3:59, that could actually be if you realize that you didn't hit the send button, look down. Oh God, I didn't hit the send button, right? It could have been a couple minutes after that. It could have been 5, 10, 20 minutes later that you actually hit that button, but you actually would have delivered it. Well, now I see what you're saying, and they did show me a picture of myself, and I said that was me walking. Oh, okay. They showed you a picture of you? Well, they asked me if that was me. And when did this happen, Miss Michael over here? Well, I don't recall, but I knew that was my measly ass walking around. I was like, I can't find this place. Oh, okay. So my next question is you said that you came from Jack in the Box to the house, right? Well, yes, that's where the food was from. Yes. Okay. Is there a reason then that you were coming from the opposite direction and you actually came down from Walenta? If you use Google Maps, right, or they have it on there, it's like the fastest way to go. And it would have taken you on Taylor to get there. Isn't that correct? Now, how did you end up on Walenta to come down from Walenta? Well, I don't recall any of that. What do you mean, Miss Taylor? Walenta? I wouldn't have been on Walenta. Well, that's what I'm trying to understand, ma'am. Well, how do you know that I was on Walenta? Well, did the investigators ask you what direction and how you traveled? Well, are you aware that your SUV that was given to you, that was assigned to you, came from Walenta and not Taylor? What the fuck? No. What the fuck, Miss Taylor? What the hell are you talking about? So you this is the first you're hearing this, Miss Molly. Miss Taylor, I haven't heard anything about this. In fact, Bill Thompson, he was thinking I was on meth that night. Oh my God, Miss Molly. Miss Molly, what kind of a tip did you get that night? You know, after someone gets their DoorDash order, do they tip you after they get the DoorDash order? Well, I don't know. Okay. But if there was we could find that out, right? If we asked DoorDash how much was tipped. Well, can you tip before and after? How does that work? Molly, when you walked up to the door and you took this picture, did you have your flash on? Well, but yes, it was dark. Did you see me out there walking with my flashlight? It was dark. I was out there walking around, and yes, I had my flashlight on my phone, and I was out there for like 15 minutes, Miss Taylor. Okay. So you used a flash when you took the picture, is that correct? Do you recall that? Well, I would think. I mean, how else am I going to see that food just sitting there on the ground? Okay, so you think so? Well, I would assume. Okay, well, mm. Molly, did you tell the police that you had your a map out and that the map told you to walk into the back of the house? What the hell? No, I would never walk in the back of someone's house. That is ridiculous. I've been a door dasher for years. You don't go in the back of people's houses. I mean, I don't recall any of this. Molly, isn't it true that you said that you walked down the road which runs north and south immediately to the east of the residence? And that's where you say that you saw a tan sedan drove next to her while she was walking? That damn car almost hit me. That's how I noticed him. He almost hit you. Yeah, he done clipped me. Almost clipped me, Miss Taylor. Molly, we're just trying to understand something for the record here. If this is the house, this is the side street, this is, and when we see you over here, okay? So you pull in, you stop, and you just hang out in the driveway. Molly, are you aware? Are you aware that the address is right there on top? Did you couldn't see that? No, it was pitch black. I couldn't see anything. Okay, and then can you just tell us where this car was, where you saw it? Well, when I was walking back up like this, I saw it coming at me. So the car's going this way and you're walking this way. Well, yes, kind of right there at this part right there. Like that little, okay. And you're for sure he had blonde hair? Yeah, it was that spiky blonde hair. Spiky. Okay. Molly, are you aware that the police in Pullman think that you are a drug runner? That's what they think. But all of them are on crack. They always give me a hard time. Now, isn't it true you let your friend drive your vehicle and she got in a high-speed chase not so long ago? Oh, that damn bitch. Yep. Yep. She done took our truck. She was higher than a kite, I think. I don't talk to her no more. Okay. So you do give your vehicle out to people? Did you know her well? Molly, have you ever given your DoorDash app password to anybody to let them go do DoorDash so that they can make money? Well, why would I do such a thing? Well, I'm going to show you some different dates here. And your app just seems like it's just, woo, doing all these crazy hours. And so I was just wondering if you could just inform us all that these are all you door dashing. Oh, well, how can I remember back then? Well, did the officers ask you about that? Did they ask if you were with anybody? Were you with anybody? Weren't you pulled over the one time you were door dashing? Who was in your passenger seat with you? And isn't it true that you also said that you were friends with Bill Thompson? And what did you mean by that? So your man was in the passenger seat. You were driving for Uber. You got pulled over. Did you text anybody and let them know, hey, I'm getting pulled over. Your food's going to be late or anything like that? God, I don't remember. I mean, Molly would just be like, woo, Lordy, Miss Taylor. When you were there, did you hear a dog barking? Do you recall? Did you see a dog out at all while you were there? And the person inside the house, you told the police that those were not the victims, and they only showed you how many pictures? 4 pictures? Which of one was a male? What did you think it was a male? And we're going to put up a picture of the house here. What window did you see the person in? And nobody was messaging you that night saying, where's my food? What time was that order come in? Do you know? And when you would have left, you said that was your last order. When you would have left, did you go home? Which way would you have gone out? Taylor, or would you have gone Walenta? I have no more questions for this witness, but I would like to keep her on her subpoena. Molly, did you see an SUV? Hell no, I didn't see no SUV. I saw a sedan. A tan sedan. Okay. What would you have asked Molly? What would you have asked Molly? I would have been so pissed if I had missed this Gone with the Wind reading of the report. Where does Molly live? You guys, she was coming from the wrong direction when she's saying that she's coming in there. She's coming from Walenta. You know, it's just like, that's not the way that you would have come. And so it's like, okay, why were you coming that way? Or the better question is that your car? I wouldn't have came from that way. She'd have said, no, I would have. Why would I come from? Exactly. Why would you have come from Walenta back? That's not. And then you have to look, which Ann Taylor would have her records right now to know, where was her previous DoorDash? Where was it dropping food off at? Was she double dipping? How did she even do that in that area? Like, I don't know. Frankly, Molly, I don't give a damn. Molly, did you hear anything? Oh my God, I heard Vampire Diaries, Miss Taylor. That's right. I heard Stefan. I mean, you have no idea what's going to come out of him. I mean, Molly, you never said Brian's name. Now you're in some body cam saying, I got to testify against Brian because I saw him. What? I mean, do you think that's going to be more helpful for the prosecution or the defense? Also, I would just love to know how many times she talked to the Popo. Also, just because her number was inside the geofence, there'd be a ton of numbers inside the geofence, the warrant. There'd be a ton of numbers, right? In that area. And they just don't think it belongs there. I don't know. Well, anyways, just going through some documents on this lovely Labor Day, closing it out for all of you people out there. And it's just like, wow. I have no idea what to expect. I don't think it would have went well. uh, I think Molly would have helped in a heartbeat. Molly was trying to find Murphy. You can ask her that. Molly, were you trying to help them find a dog that they could not locate a dog? Oh, I don't know. Molly, how many vehicles were in the driveway when you arrived? Oh, I don't remember. But you don't remember an Elantra pulling in behind you? Hell no, an Elantra. What the fuck? Dude, Payne just slips that in here. He just puts that in as part of her report. She doesn't even say any of this shit. He just says, where is it? Oh, right up here. During the time Molly was in the area of the King Road residence, the white Elantra can be seen via the King Road camera driving back and forth on Walenta Drive and then enter the Queen Road loop at approximately 3:56 a.m. At the point Molly pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind Molly's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester, and then exited the King Road at approximately 3:58. Molly did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. It's like, wait, what? How are you able to ascertain that this took place? Molly's over here like, what? No. I pulled next to the dude. Where did this take place? Up top. I don't really remember anything. I just said I would do whatever Bill Thompson wanted me to because we're friends. We're friends. Then just when you couldn't think it could only get worse. I mean, what is this type of a report though? Like this has nothing to do. Like write up a report about what you did somewhere else about your investigation, but this is not what Molly said. This is not what Molly said. Then down here, Molly's over here saying, I saw this. She said, when I initially parked, god damn it, I told you I saw somebody in that window. Now, I saw her a couple times in the same window and she would just duck. She was like playing hide and seek with me. Duck, duck, goose style. Detective Payne. She was running around, ducking down. I don't know. She thought we were playing hide and seek. Okay. But no, does not look like any of your victims. Okay. I then told you I drove to the back parking lot. Okay. Why? Because I didn't think I was in the right place. It was pitch black out there, detective. Oh, okay. But my map, I did not tell you my map told me to walk in that courtyard. I would never even use the word courtyard. I would say deck or patio. Okay. Listen, I know what I saw, and I saw that damn sedan with that spiky head fella. Okay. He was completely zoned. He was in the zone. What, Miss Molly? Well, yes. Yes. He was totally zoned. He just drove past me. And I'm telling you, he was albino, okay, with red spiky hair. frosted tips. Just the tip, like I told you, Mr. Payne. Molly also noticed the dome light in the car was on when it went by. I did not say any of this shit. What is this man? Officer Payne, I didn't tell you any of this. If I did, I do not have a recollection of any of this. I believe you are referring to Officer Tisdale in that Ford Fusion. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Now, I can assure you that once I got my bearings, I was walking around and you can see I'm damn lost in the middle of the road. I was damn lost for days. But I didn't use my texting messages. No, I'm a stubborn old hag. What the fuck is she going to say? I don't even know what she's going to say. But I think she's going to be like, what is all this shit? So you didn't tell Officer Payne? No, I did not. But I know I got my flashlight out and I was looking. I also know Payne says, subsequent investigation of video footage and cellular data showed the tan sedan Molly saw was likely a light-colored SUV which left the area. Moreover, it does not appear Molly saw the white Elantra at any point during her time near the residence. Well, by God. It is a fever dream, Molly, my Southern belle. Yeah. We're just closing her up. Guys, don't worry about what's going on over here. We're just closing out our long day, our long live here. God, people, so serious. Why so serious? All right, anything else? I just want to know who was doing the can I please I hope that we somehow find out one day who is going to be questioning who. All right. If that was mine, sound like she'd be much cooler. Molly doesn't sound like that, guys. Come on now. It's a joke. Take it. Take it or leave it. I don't give a fuck. All right. Until next time. Thanks, DB. A book I just read said Lana. Who's Lana? Collected potential juror license plates to sell to the internet cranks. Seems like. Who said that? Who said that? Those fucking idiots from Murder Sheet. They wrote a book. Well, their book is shit. But thanks for the... Oh, thank you. I'm on a roll. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep, they did. What idiots. They're morons. They're a bunch of morons. Gone Girl, thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Full government name? Oh, did they? Oh, sweet. Awesome. Yeah, because they took it from the court record. Because your name is not cool unless it's in the court record, guys. Come on, get with the program. Oh, well, that's good. Thanks, Lana. Your laugh always makes my day. I'm just over here trying to give you guys as much content as possible. Oh, Kate, you're such a sweetheart. Thanks for all the information, laughs. Yeah. You're welcome. Anything else? Oh, I'll be on Birdie's channel on Tuesday at, I think it's, you know what? I don't know if it's 7 my time or if it's 7 Central Time. So I don't want to say. But I think there's a thumbnail already up. So it should say it over there. She never sees the important stuff. Who's that? Thanks, Lana, for the fabulous, as always, show. You're welcome. No justice, no peace, nothing further. Again, it's Tuesday, not tomorrow. Is it Central? Okay, I think if it's Central, then it's 8 Eastern. Thank you, Crime Tourist. DB, no wonder where you've been in the gutter. Reading that book. DB, just send me the page. Send me the page that it's on. I'm going to send it to Bella. You whispered truths being dropping bombs like Molly ain't Southern. Oh, shit. She's talking about you, Lana. She just bitter. Bitter about what? Bitter about what, you guys? I get all my information from the documents. I don't make up the shit. I show you where it's at. Go hunting. I was just literally like challenging myself today. And my next challenge is to bring how do you cross-examine Dylan and Bethany if you're Ann Taylor and not have the jury hate you, but still show, in fact, what you need to show? And so Bella has challenged me. She wants to see if I could do that. And I said, fuck yeah, I could do that. So I'm going to take her up on that challenge to cross-examine Dylan and Bethany, and how you would have to come across so that the jury doesn't hate you, right? But these are the things that I think about. I think about in a trial, like all of the past 2.5, 3 years, it was all prep. It was supposed to be all prep for a trial. And I'm over here like, dude, how is Bill Thompson, like, how would he presented this to the jury? To make sure that he gets his conviction, right? Obviously, he's going to have help with other people that were on that prosecuting team, but it's not as easy as it looks. Well, God, I hope you don't get robbed. I'm not looking to get robbed. Who's getting... Jeez. David, the Loaches, they don't have anything to do with this shit. Sorry. I'm sorry. Great challenge. Isn't it a great challenge? Yeah. I think it's interesting that none of the people at WSU called in a tip about BryanKohberger. That's what I'm going to be talking about this week. I'm going to be talking about, like, they're over here like, wow. I mean, we never thought that he was going to be a killer like this. Like, and I'm just shocked because I'm like, you guys didn't know that he drove a white Elantra? Nobody called in the tip about this man. Like, I was blown. Kate, I challenged the timeline and asked the questions that the investigators didn't ask, like, walk us through who was in the house when. Yeah, exactly. How do you not ask, were you texting as you're seeing the masked man? I mean, wouldn't that be your question? So that you can confirm, like, this is happening well, you know. I totally agree, Kate. And then I keep scratching my head because I'm like, wait a second. The car that's leaving at 4:20 and 47 seconds, you guys, the statements of Dylan, the killer's still in the house. Like, he can't be driving away. And they're gonna say, well, that clock can be off or something like that. And then it's like, yeah, exactly, it can be. But what did you guys find out? Is it? You know? Nothing about this makes sense. The more you dig, the more questions you have. Totally. Grower has a silver sedan. 150%. So Grower has a silver sedan. Well, I think this is going to be something after I saw the body cam. Dylan says she was not sleeping. Dylan's probably knows that she has this saved in. It's just authorities didn't go with that, you know? And let's see. Ooh, Karen Lowe. Okay, thank you. Ooh. Oh shit. We're working this person right here. All county garbage, rubbish. Waste management collection, professional counselor, regional security advisor, all these new people. U.S. Attorney's Office, Western District of Washington. Fentanyl ring. Oh my God, what? Michael Lang? There you go. Michael Lang, U.S. Attorney Office, Western District of Washington. Fentanyl ring. LabCorp Project Administrator, Boise, Idaho, Karen. PSP Trooper, Justin Leary. Caldwell Shannon, FBI. Gary Cooper, Western Idaho, Law Enforcement Law, Idaho, Post Academy Instructor, 2018 to present. Oh, Eureka, that's Cali. Wow. Jason Gage, Boise psychologist, 2024. Mountain something counseling. Jason Gage. Interesting. What was he going to be testifying to? Gary Dawson. Prosecutor's response to defendant's motion limiting number 2. PhD testifying about the intox levels. Elizabeth D'Angela. I remember I was like, who is this? DeAngelis as a field safety rep, field logistics coordinator, freshwater dispatch. What? Oh my God. A freshwater? Wait. Shut up. She's the freshwater dispatch supervisor. Oh my God. This may have something to do with Jack Showalter. We're looking up what these people can all be. Well, what have they have testified to? Nicole, FBI tactical specialist. Chad Daybell case, phone expert, and Lori Vallow case. Oh man. Dude, she was on backup because Nick Balance getting the big old Yankee dank. Holy shit. We're digging over here. Eddie Garcia. Meridian. Nexan. Engineer. Ooh, okay. He's probably doing something with that. Eddie Garcia is probably doing the little Dollhouse. Jason Knight, Regional Security Advisor. Chelsea Desher, PA. Lab. Oh, you know what? That's probably to do with Brian's car. All right. I'll put these all out on my channel if you remember. You can have them all. If not, you don't get them. Again, we're going through 110. If you're wondering what we're doing, 110. This is the law enforcement prosecution witness list. And I wanted to know, who are these people? Because I read all of these reports. And I don't have any of these people's reports. I mean, what was Roger Lanier going to testify to? These people really weren't cleared when we said that they were cleared, okay? So, was he a structural engineer? Because otherwise, I don't think he had anything. He was a structural engineer. That's why I said he had something to do with the Dell House, making it Garcia. Oh, you are so welcome. I wouldn't be anywhere else. Wouldn't be anywhere else. Hunga Dunga. What a name, Hunga Dunga. Hunga Dunga Brewery. All right. Okay. Love to be a fly on the wall for this case. How one preps. Peace out, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. Take care till tomorrow. Kate says, I still don't believe they were going to use a dollhouse. Well, they weren't calling it that, so. They took so many pictures, I don't know why they would need a dollhouse, but. So, good night. Peace out, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. Rest up.